We often imagine billionaires living the dream, buying anything they want, from private islands to golden cars. But what happens when their wildest splurges turn into their biggest regrets? Today, we're counting down 10 luxury purchases that billionaires and millionaires came to regret, proving that even the richest people in the world can make choices that don't pay off. Timeshares in paradise. For many wealthy travelers, timeshares seemed like a clever way to own a piece of paradise. Pay once, and you can return every year to a luxurious beachside escape. But what started as a dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Maintenance fees skyrocketed, properties lost value, and owners discovered they were stuck in contracts nearly impossible to escape. Even billionaires who dabbled in them found they couldn't justify paying endlessly for something they hardly used. What was once marketed as owning a slice of heaven ended up trapping buyers in financial quicksand. Many buyers sank hundreds of thousands up front, only to keep paying fees year after year with no way out. Private jets that rarely fly. Owning a jet is often seen as the ultimate status symbol. From Gulfstreams to bombardiers, billionaires love the idea of taking off whenever they want. But here's the catch. Most of these planes sit unused for weeks or months at a time, while still racking up enormous costs. Hangar fees, staff salaries, repairs, and fuel quickly eat away at fortunes. Even billionaires admit that chartering or fractional ownership often makes more sense. Some who once bragged about their jets quietly sold them off, realizing it wasn't luxury, it was a liability. And for many, the humiliation of selling at a massive loss was worse than the financial hit itself. Owning one of these meant shelling out $30 to $90 million to buy, plus nearly $1 million a year just to keep it flight ready. Mega yachts of regret. Yachts are floating palaces, complete with cinemas, helipads, and swimming pools. But the truth behind the glamour is brutal. The bigger the yacht, the bigger the bill. Docking, maintenance, and crew salaries can run into millions every year, even if the owner only steps on board a few times. Some billionaires have confessed that their yachts became money-eating monsters. Selling them later isn't easy either. Buyers are scarce, and depreciation is harsh. What was meant to showcase wealth and freedom often ends up being quietly hidden away, costing more in shame than in pride. Some of these floating palaces drain their owners tens of millions to purchase, then millions more every single year just sitting at dock. The $1 million watch. Luxury watches are supposed to be timeless, but not every story ends well. One billionaire purchased an ultra-rare Swiss timepiece worth over $1 million. At first, it was a status symbol, admired at elite parties and business meetings. But the watch proved too delicate, needing constant maintenance, and worse, its resale value plummeted. Instead of feeling like a lasting treasure, it became a frustrating reminder of wasted wealth. Even collectors who would normally treasure such items turned away, knowing it was more of a burden than a gem. That tiny piece of craftsmanship set him back around $1.5 million, only to become a burden instead of a treasure. Mike Tyson's 24-karat gold bathtub. Mike Tyson, once one of the richest athletes in the world, was infamous for his spending sprees. Among his most extravagant purchases was a bathtub made entirely of 24-karat gold, bought for his then-wife. While it dazzled guests, it quickly became the ultimate symbol of waste. Tyson's finances crumbled, and the bathtub stood as a reminder of reckless choices that drained his empire. What was meant to be a gesture of love turned into a cautionary tale about excess. Years later, the bathtub became one of the most famous examples of how fast fortunes can vanish. The bathtub alone carried a jaw-dropping price tag of $2.2 million, turning into nothing more than a symbol of excess. Carlos Slim's billion-dollar museum. Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim, once the richest man alive, built an extravagant museum to house his private art collection. While the building itself is stunning, the project has been criticized as a vanity project more than a cultural contribution. Attendance fell short of expectations, and the ongoing costs of maintaining the vast collection became staggering. What Slim hoped would cement his legacy became more of a financial burden than an inspiration. Ironically, the museum became known more for Slim's ego than for the priceless art inside it. Slim poured an estimated $800 million into the project, a sum that ballooned further with endless operating costs. Vijay Mallya's abandoned mansion. Vijay Mallya built himself a mansion modeled after the White House, a bold statement of wealth and power. But as his empire collapsed under debt and scandals, the mansion was abandoned before it was even finished. What should have been a dream home is now a ghostly shell, guarded but empty, symbolizing his fall from grace. Locals now view it as a monument to arrogance rather than success. What was once supposed to represent triumph now stands as a frozen reminder of failure. The mansion was valued at about $20 million, now left abandoned, its marble halls echoing with regret. Kim Kardashian's $10 million wedding. Even celebrities aren't immune to luxury regrets. Kim Kardashian and Chris Humphries spent millions on a lavish wedding broadcast to millions of fans. No expense was spared. Designer gowns, floral walls, and diamond details everywhere. But just 72 days later, the marriage collapsed, turning one of the most extravagant weddings in history into a global joke. The financial cost was enormous, but the embarrassment was even greater. Looking back, even Kim admitted that the entire event was more spectacle than substance. The wedding bill topped $10 million, only for the entire marriage to collapse in just 72 days. Kanye West's abandoned dome project. Kanye West, known for his ambitious visions, once poured millions into building futuristic dome-like houses in California, hoping to revolutionize affordable housing. At first, it seemed like a brilliant mix of art, architecture, and philanthropy. But soon the project ran into legal battles, failed permits, and neighborhood complaints. The domes were eventually demolished, leaving behind nothing but wasted land and millions lost. What Kanye hoped would become a new era of housing turned into another cautionary tale of unchecked ambition. Reports suggest he spent more than $50 million on the failed project, only to see it all torn down. Nicolas Cage's dinosaur skull. Nicolas Cage is famous for his eccentric purchases, but one of the most bizarre was a rare dinosaur skull. He outbid Leonardo DiCaprio in an auction, proudly adding the fossil to his collection. But later, it was discovered that the skull had been illegally smuggled out of Mongolia. Cage was forced to return it, losing the millions he spent and facing global embarrassment. What was supposed to be a one-of-a-kind treasure became one of the strangest regrets in celebrity history. Cage paid over $270,000 for the skull, only to lose it and his pride when it was taken back. From golden bathtubs to billion-dollar mansions, these stories prove that money can't buy wisdom. Even the wealthiest people on Earth have made purchases they deeply regret, turning dreams of status into lifelong burdens. Which of these regrets shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories from the world of luxury.